Hi everybody, this is Bogus Reviews, and today I'm going to be doing a review on the new Neca Murder, She Wrote clothed J.B. Fletcher figure. So before we take a look at J.B. Fletcher, let's go ahead and take a look at all of her accessories. So first up, she comes with her typewriter. This has some really good sculpt detail to it. Even the underneath of it is sculpted very nicely. I just wish the letters would have been printed on the keys here. That would have been a really tiny detail, but I think Neca could have printed that on. But other than that, I think this accessory is really awesome and looks cool. Up next, she comes with The Corpse Danced at Midnight book, her novel. I think this looks pretty good for the most part. I definitely think that the cover and the back should have been printed on, but instead it's just a sticker that's stuck to the plastic here that it's cast in. And you can see how it already looks like it's crumpled up. I haven't tried to put this in her hand because I definitely don't want to scuff that sticker up or bend the edges worse than it already is. So while it's detailed really nicely, it would have been really nice if it wouldn't have just been sticker. I did want to say I do like how Neca put their logo right there on the binding. That looks pretty cool. Up next, she comes with her purse. Doesn't have a whole lot of sculpt detail to it, but it still looks pretty good. Up next, she comes with a flashlight. Some really cool sculpt detail to it and a bit of a black wash. That looks really good, though if you put this in her hand it will stretch it out because of the way it's sculpted. Up next, she comes with this pair of very thin glasses, and you can see that she has these square holes in the side of her hair. You just have to line it up and get it in. And it actually stays in there very well. It's a really tight fit. I think they look good on there, but it looks funny when you leave them off, because of course then you're going to have those holes in the side of her head, and that just looks really funny. Up next, you get an alternate head sculpt, and this looks great. The likeness to Angela Lansbury is fantastic. All of the printed on details came out very clean. I think the sculpt just really looks like her, and so does the paintwork. The paint really helps that. She has some really good sculpt detail to her hair as well as some variation over top of it. It's just a very well done head sculpt. And finally, she comes with an alternate sweater piece. So to put this on, you do have to take her trench coat off here. So you have, this actually has bendy wire in it, I do like that. So you have to take this off and her shirt off. So I'll make a quick cut right here. Before I actually get the sweater switched out, I did want to mention that the left bicep on mine broke. You can see how the shoulder joint right here, it actually still moves up, but you can see how it's chewed up. The plastic looks really bad right here. And on this side, you get this really weird blue mark. And it's chewed up a little bit. You can see the plastic is scuffed a little bit, but it's not as bad as this left side. This left side did snap off completely, and I had to glue it, which it is staying for now, but this feels like really flimsy material. That's why it broke off, is because it's so flimsy. So I did want to mention that before I switched the sweater out. There she is with her sweater on, and I think the sweater is tailored very nicely. I just don't like the way it fits the figure. It's a really stretchy material, but I don't know, it just doesn't lay right. And I also feel like it makes her head look bigger. I feel like her head is actually kind of big, but putting this sweater on just really makes it look a lot bigger. It's not quite as noticeable with the trench coat on. But yeah, I'm definitely not going to be leaving it displayed this way. I do think it's cool that Neca gave you options, but I'm just not fond of how this looks on the figure. So taking a look at the rest of the figure, I think Neca did a very good job on all of the soft goods clothing on this. I love how much bendy wire we get on it too. Her scarf is entirely bendy wire, so you can pose it however you want, and I think that is very cool. You also get some bendy wire running down the outside of the trench coat right here, as well as on the ties, and that really helps whenever you tie it. That way the ties aren't just sticking straight out, you can actually pose them down in a realistic way. And I think that looks pretty cool. Now, I believe this uses a new body mold. I'm not sure if there are any other figures that use this, but it is articulated pretty nicely, even though you really don't need a lot of articulation for her. One thing is the joints on the wrists on mine are really chewed up. Let me see if I can get this off. The watch is a separate piece, so when you're popping this off, definitely be careful. Okay, so it doesn't want to come off, because you can see how chewed up that joint is. I don't know if all of the figures are like this, but mine has a bunch of QC issues. I've also noticed that since I've posed the figure around, the pants have gotten really, really wrinkled on this. I haven't really had that issue with any Neca Retro figures, but this one, the fabric just seems really wrinkly now. And since this is a new retro, we do get ankle rockers on her, and that makes me very happy. The old Neca Retro clothed figures didn't used to have ankle rockers, and it was next to impossible to get them to stand, or just have them in a vanilla pose, so I'm really glad we get some ankle rockers with her. So now, let's go ahead and go over her articulation. So she has a ball-jointed head that can't really look up that far. She can look down all the way, and move her head side to side, and around just a little bit. She has shoulders that can only move out that far. The right side does move out a little more than the left. Of course, on this side, there's going to be no swivel because of where it's snapped off. She has swivel at the bicep, double-jointed elbows that can bend in all the way, wrists that really only move side to side. The up and down movement is really hindered because of how chewed up those joints are. She has a ball-jointed diaphragm that can move back just a little bit, forward just a little bit, and side to side just a little bit. That joint feels extremely tight there. She has ball-jointed hips that can only move out that far. You don't want to split the pants. She can kick forward that far, back just a little bit. She has a very nice thigh swivel, single jointed knees that can move back that far, ankles that can move down all the way, up all the way, and a nice ankle rocker. So now, let's do some size comparisons. So first up, here she is next to Bob Ross. Here she is next to Elvira. Here she is next to Alf. And finally, here she is next to E.T. So overall, I think Neca did a good job on this, aside from the small issues that I had. That honestly comes down to quality control and probably isn't the case for all of them. So despite the issues I had, I would still recommend picking this up because I think Neca did a really good job on it. The likeness is really good, the soft goods are done really well, and we get a bunch of accessories for her. This is a figure that I never thought any company would do in a million years, but I'm really glad that Neca did because, as I said, I really like this figure for the most part. And hopefully this opens the door for a Columbo figure. I think Neca would do a fantastic job on that. So, that's my review. If you like this review, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.